Hello there, people of the internet. We are back again with another Pikmin 3 Deluxe video. I know, a second one. I'm surprised I'm doing it myself. It's your boy. We're here to talk about a pretty cool topic. We're going to talk about what Pikmin 3 Deluxe can do to really go that extra mile to make it stand out from vanilla Pikmin 3, things it can do to improve the game, things it can add with the features that we already know about, and what we could maybe just genuinely see going forward. So let's first start off by talking about what I forgot to mention in my last video. Two-player co-op will be available for the main story campaign and the side missions. This is pretty dope because it's a first for the series as a whole. There's never really been cooperative story modes, which is a great way to handle Pikmin gameplay, I've always thought. Because they already do it with the challenge mode, so why not just make the story modes co-op? And this is also probably making up for the fact that you don't have the gamepad that you had on the Wii U, so you can't really easily multitask in this game compared to vanilla Pikmin 3, so maybe I guess this is a way for them to work around that, to have two people just simultaneously controlling captains. I'm sure it's going to be a headache in the main campaign, though, deciding who wants to control captain number 3, and if you decide you're going to switch to a different captain, it's going to be a headache. Now, something I didn't write in the script that I have, but I actually want to bring up now, I really hope that they make Bingo Battle mode online. I loved Bingo Battle, but I rarely had anyone to play it with because there are very few of my friends who were really into Pikmin. So either making like a public online Bingo Battle mode, or allowing us to just play with friends online. Like if I have a friend who buys Pikmin 3 Deluxe, I would want them to play Bingo Battle mode with me, but if they can't do it because it's only, local multiplayer, that would kind of be unfortunate. Though knowing Nintendo, and knowing that since this is a port of a 7-year-old game that wasn't really super popular or from a very popular series to begin with, I find it very unlikely that they'll put Bingo Battle mode online. But hey, a boy can dream. In any case, next, we should talk about this pretty majorly talked about inclusion of difficulty options. Now, I've heard concerns from a lot of people that they might just make an easy mode and kind of dip, but they also do specifically mention multiple difficulty modes in the press release that they released on Twitter. So unless they're just going to make a normal, easy, and super easy mode, I'm going to assume that there's also going to be a harder difficulty in there. With that said, what do I think they can do to make the game more challenging if they're going to make a hard mode? Well, first, they could make you consume more juice after each day, or make it so that the fruit that you do obtain gives you significantly less juice. That was one of the complaints I've seen thrown around a lot about Pikmin 3, and it's a really valid one, I agree. I never felt like I was in danger of running out of juice in the game, and I think as a result of that, whenever I see any footage of Pikmin 3, it's people with like stockpilings of 20 juice. It's like, okay, well, what's the point of having the juice counter? I guess it's maybe to simulate a time limit, but it really doesn't offer it. I think this change would be an obvious first start to making challenge for veteran players or people who just want a more challenging type of experience out of this game. I also think the inverse could be true to help with newer players if they do have an easier mode, maybe just reducing or removing the juice mechanic entirely for casual players who just kind of want to explore the game without feeling pressure. That would help them a lot. They could also remix the enemy spawns and locations to more frequently include deadlier enemies around the map for a more harder difficulty. I'm pretty sure you only ever see a bull bear like once in Pikmin 3, and that was in the cave in the distant tundra, I believe. I remember the one time I was hiding from it, it actually just legitimately scared the crap out of me. And I was honestly disappointed that it was restricted to that one cave with, all of its AI, its patrol pattern and everything being kind of just exclusive to that small area. The same could also be said for the calcified Crushblat. That thing was really interesting and there's a really cheap way to kill it, but it only kind of shows up once in the campaign. And I feel like it could have been included a few more times, especially if you're going to try to make the game a little more difficult. I also remember seeing a video a pretty long time back of some unused enemy models in Pikmin 3, like the Grey Wollywog and the Emperor Bulblax, and using this new difficulty mode as a way to kind of include those unused character models, unused enemy designs, would be a nice treat for fans who, maybe dug it up and want to see that return, especially now with the Piclopedia too, where these creatures can be documented. On the note of the Piclopedia, there are 5 slots for the Piclopedia entries based on the screenshot we see in the tweet announcing the feature. I assume the 3 empty ones are for logs from Charlie, Olimar, and Louie. With that said, let's pour one out, guys. This unfortunately means that everyone's favorite captain, the President, is likely not going to make his glorious return to Pikmin in either the epilogue or the prologue. I was hoping he would make it back, but the devs probably just didn't want to make a whole new character model for him, and I don't blame them. Moving on. The new side story content does have me intrigued. This is the first time the Pikmin series has done anything like this, with 2 story missions starring Olimar and Louie being included here. I'm wondering what these missions will entail. Normally I'd assume a mission structure would be similar to the challenge mode stages, but the website specifically differentiates those 2 things by using the term stages for the challenge mode and missions for the new story content. Pikmin doesn't typically harbor singular mission-based gameplay outside of these challenge modes. I'm hoping that these missions each give you a single new area that you can explore with the 2 captains across several days with a strict time limit. One of the things I loved about Pikmin is the sense of discovery and exploration I feel playing each game, and having an open area with multiple objectives would pretty much fulfill that for me. It would be awesome for the devs to also bring back some of those cut areas from the first E3 trailer for the game. Me saying this is a little bit too optimistic, unfortunately, since the screenshot they used of Olimar and Louie for promoting this new mode has them situated in an area that really just looks identical to the spawn point of the Garden of Hope. Also, the ship they're using is the same one from the challenge mode that's missing its body, so it's very unlikely that these missions will span multiple days, and Pikmin breeding likely won't be a thing here. Considering that these missions are a prologue and an epilogue, it makes sense that the prologue would take place in the Garden of Hope, since that's where Olimar and Louie initially crash-landed in Pikmin 3. RIP to the Pikmin 2 ship, by the way. Miyamoto did you dirty. But the epilogue has me wondering what the plot will be, since the end of Pikmin 3 has Olimar and Louie hopping on a ride with the Copites back home. I'm gonna assume that the epilogue involves the ship crash we see at the very end of Pikmin 3, and I think it's most likely that Olimar is going back to the planet to save the stranded ship, or, knowing Miyamoto, to rescue Louie, who he left behind again. I would like to see that mission contain a new or unused area, but I'm holding hope on that one. Now that we've talked about all of the new things announced in Pikmin 3 Deluxe, let's move on to the things that Nintendo can do to maybe improve or fix certain aspects of vanilla Pikmin 3. First is enemy balance. Some boss fights, like the Quaggled Meyerklops, were just awkward. I always feel awkward whenever I fight that thing, just because of how sporadically it moves, and I think maybe slowing it down or removing those little pools of water at its feet might make the fight a little bit easier to manage for newer players. One of the fights I've also been wondering how they'll handle is the one with the Plasm Wraith at the very end. specifically when he's chasing you. A key factor in making that chase manageable is being able to look down on the Wii U gamepad while you're moving forward to see where he is on the position of the minimap relative to you. I'd rather not have them include this bulky map on the top corner, but it might be the only solution they have unless they slow him down significantly or put some sort of indication on screen informing you of his general vicinity. I've also had just a number of concerns about the controls and gameplay here. I'll never say this about any other Wii U game, but the gamepad was vital to the micromanagement gameplay design of Pikmin 3, especially in its challenge modes. I can't see myself tackling half of the challenges without having the constant access to the minimap on a second screen. I've also had concerns about the general control scheme, since I think Pikmin 3 is best played with a Wii Remote and Nunchuck combo, but I fully expect to be able to use two detached Joy-Cons with IR sensor being used for motion control. Ultimately guys, I just hope that the gameplay styles of the new side story missions find a way to really separate themselves from the main story and the challenge mode. New objectives, utilization of maybe purple and white Pikmin with puzzles that revolve around their abilities would be cool. Even just by the notion that we're controlling two captains in these side stories has me thinking that the design philosophies of these missions will be a lot different than base Pikmin 3, since the vanilla game utilized its three captains feature very often. In any case, that's all I think I can really talk about based on the very little information they gave us so far. What do you guys think they could improve upon or include in Pikmin 3 Deluxe? Let me know. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.